Perfection. How do you achieve perfection in a game like Mario Kart? A game with a running timer is usually a never-ending cycle of improvement. There's always faster times that will eventually happen, but there's this one outlier that makes this possible. This story begins back on August 27, 1992, when the first Mario Kart got released by Nintendo to the world. Well, besides Europe. Super Mario Kart. It became such a huge success that they wanted to make 8 more games on their major consoles. One of the biggest modes in Mario Kart is Time Trials, a game mode where you race for the fastest time possible on any track in the game. This concept was fairly popular enough to where players wanted to start tracking their times and competing with other players, so lo and behold, the players page was born. A website that tracks every single one of a player's times and puts them on a leaderboard with other players. The players page not only tracks your times, but it also tracks the champion and standards set by that game's community. Nowadays, you can just load times on an online leaderboard for the modern Mario Kart games. But the players page back then, in the late 90s and the early 2000s, was the only way players could really compete against others in Mario Kart, besides having friends over, you know. For this video, we're going to be focusing on the standards. There are many different standards you can accomplish for any skill level, but let's just list off the lowest and highest standard. The lowest standard is newbie. This is pretty much if you're first playing and have no idea what you're doing. While the highest standard possible is the God standard, which is usually conquered by the game's veterans and most experienced players. Getting the highest possible standard is an impressive feat on its own. But is it possible for a player to get every single perfect standard on all the tracks? Let's see if any Mario Kart has achieved this goal. The Super Mario Kart players page was founded in 1998 by British player Sammy Chaitin, who is still very much active today after an astonishing 26 years. When you go on the homepage, the first thing that catches your eye on the leaderboard is a split on PAL and NTSC. PAL is the European version of the game that runs at 50 Hz or 50 frames per second, while NTSC is predominantly the American or Japanese version of the game, which runs at 60 Hz or 60 frames per second. If you look at this comparison, PAL runs a bit slower than NTSC, approximately 20% slower. If you speed up PAL by 20%, it syncs up perfectly with the NTSC gameplay. So why do people use PAL if it's slower? Well, not everyone is going to own the same version of the game. So the community decided to make separate standards for both PAL and NTSC to even the playing field. I reached out to some community members about the advantages and disadvantages of PAL and NTSC, Scooby, and KVD. Both of these players are insanely good at this game. Scooby responded to me first regarding the challenges of PAL and NTSC. Quote, PAL and NTSC SMK are a different game. Developers adjusted the game to PAL, so the ROM itself is different in many ways. Kart handling, accelerations, item behavior have some slight differences, making it impossible to convert a PAL time to NTSC accurately, hence why we have separate leaderboards and a PAL and NTSC champion. I also asked KVD a similar question and he said, quote, some tracks are easier to perform well on. On PAL, Coco Island 1 and 2 being clear examples. Others on NTSC, Vanilla Lake 1 and 2, but that might also just be personal preference based to some extent as well. Is boosting is easier and more powerful on NTSC and it has better excel after small hits. I'd say NTSC overall is slightly easier in terms of gameplay, but that doesn't have much bearing on how pushed the world records are. That is more determined by how much the top players have decided to put into that particular world record. Woo, that's a mouthful. Most of this game seems to boil down to track selection and personal preference. Alright, let's ask the million-dollar question. Has there been a perfect timesheet in Super Mario Kart? Let's look at the combined standards and see if someone has pulled it off. It's been pulled off by one player, Guillaume Leviac. He also goes by Antistar. I reached out to Antistar about his accomplishment, and you wouldn't believe what he sent back. He sent me an entire 6-page document about the Myth Plus grind he's been holding on to for 2 years. This document goes all the way back to summer of 2007. I can't recap the whole story in this video, but I left a pastebin in the description of the entire story. Super Mario Kart has a total of 80 categories, 40 for both PAL and NTSC. Antistar accomplished both of these in a 14-year time span, the first on NTSC on October 22, 2014, and PAL on December 6, 2021. Congratulations, Antistar, on this amazing accomplishment. Let's move on to the next Mario Kart. Even though Mario Kart 64 is the second game in the franchise, it actually has the first players page, founded by American player Kevin Booth in 1997. Mario Kart 64 has no shortage of options when it comes to categories to play, with a no shortcut and shortcut category split. And of course, an NTSC and PAL split. I don't know much about Mario Kart 64, so I reached out to one of its best players, Abney317. When I asked about who's accomplished a perfect standard, he actually sent me his own website that has its very own God section. This contains every single player that has accomplished any kind of God standard. One section that really caught my eye was a section called Biversal, so I asked Abney about it, and he said, quote, "Both PAL and NTSC, although getting PAL God is kind of irrelevant if you've already got an NTSC God, like probably deserves more credit for doing it on NTSC 10 years earlier, even though he never did it on PAL." Whoa, NTSC is harder than PAL? I dug a little deeper into this and looked at the Mario Kart 64 world records. To find out, every single non-shortcut record is set on PAL. Why is this? There's a 1.2024 conversion rate to essentially match PAL and NTSC times. Therefore, PAL gets the overall edge because it's easier to play on due to its lower frame rate. Back to Abney's website. Let's find out who is the first ever to accomplish the Universal God Standard. It was Carlo Tomazelli on October 25th, 2005. His last time needed was Frappe Snowland Shortcut 3-lap. Unfortunately, there's no video of this, but here's a video of Carlo completing a similar time 2 years later. Nicely done, Carlo, on the first Universal God. Let's move on to the next Mario Kart. Mario Kart Super Circuit is the first Mario Kart on a handheld console, the Game Boy Advanced. Looking at the players page, there's a no shortcut and shortcut split, and no NTSC and PAL split for the first time. It's all in one game. Since this game is on a handheld console, it's really tough to track and record times. Any leaderboard you go to has no video proof. You have to go on MK World Records to watch completed times. Let's play a game. Let's watch a lap of this Rainbow Road World Record, and you have to guess if it's either no shortcut or shortcut. Good luck. Did you figure it out? I know I didn't the first time watching this. This is a no shortcut time. Yes, jumping across the track like this is no shortcut. There's a specific rule set to decide if a run is no shortcut or shortcut, and this apparently follows all of the no shortcut rules. I'll let you draw your own conclusions, but to me, this is wild. Since Super Circuit is one entire game, we can head straight to the standards and see if anyone has accomplished a perfect standard for both non-shortcut and shortcut. There's no combined standard, so let's just go with non-shortcut first. Nice, 4 people have accomplished this. Let's check the shortcut side. Oh no, this is the first game where we don't have a player with an entire God standard on both sheets. However, the community has accomplished all of the gods for shortcut combined. I'll give credit to who was the closest on each side. For no shortcut, Andy Lundeen was the first to conquer all 80 God standard times, finishing it off in 2015 with a retro Koopa Beach time, and Robert McKinnon, or iMath, is currently the closest on shortcut, with 8 times left to go on his timesheet. Hopefully in the future someone can pull off this incredible achievement for Super Circuit. Let's move on. Mario Kart Double Dash is a very unique game. For the first time, you can have 2 characters on a kart. The thought of being dragged by a big metal ball down the track is nothing short of exhilarating. Looking at the players page, the NTSC and PAL split return, but in this case, they're just named 60Hz and 50Hz. Once again, I'm going into another game with very little knowledge. I reached out once again to Robert McKinnon. Let's talk about Robert for a second. He is so good at so many Mario Karts. Mario Kart 64, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario Kart Double Dash. He has been a great help and I can't thank him enough. Let's just call him Robert McKinnon. I asked for help understanding the differences of 50Hz and 60Hz in Double Dash and he said, quote, 50Hz is pretty much just easier since it's in slower motion. It was dominant at a top level until around 2015 or so, when the old players had retired and a new generation of players came in, and pretty much just decided to play 60Hz because it's cooler. And all the old 50Hz times ended up being beaten, so 50Hz is easier, but they are comparable. These days there are only a couple of active players who play on 50Hz. All of Matt Tilde's records are on 50Hz. All of their world records are 60Hz currently. It's a little weird culturally. iMath is indeed correct. Looking at the world records, one player uses the 50Hz version and the rest 60. Since this game prioritizes both categories, let's take a look and see who's accomplished a perfect God standard. What? There's negative AF in this game? I think we need to look a little deeper into this. Let's check out this profile. What? There are myth times on a God standard sheet. This is diabolical. Let's eliminate all of the frauds. That's better. 14 players have accomplished this feat, but the first player to do it was Kudir Banarua. He finished his final time on DK Mountain on July 23rd, 2010. The DK Mountain video is really tough to watch, but for 2010 standards, this is actually up to par for quality. Funnily enough, on the same day, Richard Carlson also got DKM God standard to give him overall God. Crazy stuff. Congratulations once again, Kudir, on the first God standard. What's the next game? We're back to another handheld game, Mario Kart DS. This is the first Mario Kart to introduce online play, giving another option which ended up shifting the focus of Mario Kart for future games. Anyways, let's take a look at the players page. The category split has possibly the most obscure term yet, PRB and non-PRB. I have no clue what either of these mean, so I reached out to one of the best Mario Kart DS players of all time, and someone I'm proud to call my friend, Abel. Abel has been a prominent figure of the MKDS community, setting world records dating all the way back to 2006. I think he's more than qualified to explain this. Hello Abel, thank you for coming on. Can I ask you some questions?
Hi Logan, thanks for having me. Yes, you certainly can.
Alright, so when I first load the Mario Kart DS players page, I see 2 sections of PRB and non-PRB. To my knowledge, none of these terms apply in any other Mario Kart. What do both of these mean?
So these 2 terms are sort of like the DS equivalent of the more traditional shortcut and non-shortcut categories in the other Mario Kart games. PRB stands for Prolonged Rocket Boost, and it involves retaining the perfect start boost through snaking. What this does is it allows a player to cut off-road sections without losing any speed. The players page adopted the splitting of leaderboards to accommodate times that do not use PRB with track-specific rules. For example, on Figure 8 Circuit, you are only allowed to mini-turbo once over the grass portion with PRB active and then play out the rest of the track normally. The same would apply on SNES Mario Circuit 1, where the player can only clip the sand before the first set of pipes.
Great. What do you think players prefer out of both PRB and non-PRB?
So this is a good question. I think both categories are entirely different disciplines from experience. PRB racing is generally more input heavy and intense, as you need to continuously mini turbo to maintain the boost and cut the off-road sections. Whereas with non-PRB, it has a few more pauses, but it can be very track dependent. Some players prefer PRB to get the fastest times possible in the game, whilst others enjoy the challenge of taking slightly different lines, pretty much in accordance with the rules on the player's page.
Great. How hard do you think it is to accomplish both perfect God standards?
So the non-PRB God standards were laid out back in, I think it was August of 2006, which wasn't even a year into the game's release. Our knowledge of how far tracks could be pushed was still quite premature back then. So logically, these standards would be far more attainable compared to the ones in PRB, which were drafted sometime in early 2009. 16 players to this day, including myself, have achieved the full non-PRB God sheet, though only one completed it for PRB, and that would be MK Dasher, famously in the summer of 2021. Needless to say, achieving the non-PRB God status is still extremely difficult. The only other player who I think can achieve it at the moment is Japanese player Tiger, no doubt. Him and NK Dasher are both on another galaxy altogether. Quite literally Ronaldo and Messi of Mario Kart DS. So yes, I think achieving both is insanely hard, because it took MK Dasher roughly 15 years.
Yes, I think so. Well, thank you so much, Abel, for being on. Yeah, great to have you, dude.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks very much.
Surprise, surprise, it's another handheld game, Mario Kart 7, but this time it's on the 3DS. Mario Kart 7 introduces a new aspect to the game, the glider. Gliders have their own individual stats that will affect the speed of the kart itself. Looking at the players page, there's a much bigger no shortcut section than glitch section, which tells me the community prioritizes no shortcut. If you look at the standards for both no shortcut and shortcut, they only have 3 lap standards. This is because Mario Kart 7 doesn't even track flap times in the game itself, making it harder to put times on the players page properly. Even looking at a player's profile, only a certain amount of times glow up. It just doesn't quite sit right with me. Alright, let's take a look and see if anyone has accomplished a perfect standard. Nope, nobody has accomplished this. The 2 closest players are Jack and Endo MK. However, Jack has 7 categories left, and Endo has 6. So technically Endo has less categories left. I'm not really satisfied with the Mario Kart 7 players page. Once again, as time goes on, the future games shift more into online. That's just how it is. Let's go to the final Mario Kart. I have some bad news for the Mario Kart 8 enjoyers. When you load the players page, it looks like this. I don't know what to even take from this. I looked around everywhere and there appears to be no standards for the game. Since we can't cover the game properly, I'll just say this. Some of the Mario Kart 8 time trialers are possibly the most talented players you'll ever see. Alberto, Army, Panda are just a few names that have set thousands of world records combined, and they deserve just as much credit in this video as anyone else. I would check out MK leaderboards as the main source for MK8/8 Deluxe time trials as their main source. You won't be disappointed. Alright, let's get to what this video is all about. Welcome to Mario Kart Wii, one of the most unique Mario Karts you'll ever see. A game with any category you could possibly think of. Glitches, shortcuts, no shortcut. It's definitely one of a kind. Let's turn back the clock all the way to 2009 when the standards were set. This thread is where the community decided all of the God standards on every track. These times would be considered perfect by 2009 standards. Fast forward to 2024, some of these really stood the test of time, and some not so much. And yeah, the balancing turned out to be completely lopsided for today's standards. Let's look at Coconut Mall Unrestricted. There was a major glitch found right after the standards were decided. Anybody can really get a perfect standard if they just make one glitch nowadays. Therefore, 463 people have achieved God standard. And that's just the players page, so most likely thousands of people have a perfect standard here. But some are insanely brutal to get, even for today's standards. What else is there to worry about? There's another factor that isn't present in many other games in the Mario Kart franchise: character and vehicle combinations. You may have heard the term Funky Kart Wii, and that's true to some extent. However, in Mario Kart Wii, there are 6 major combos needed to complete a perfect standard. The most popular and iconic is, of course, Funky Kong on the Flame Runner. The other 5 are Daisy on Mach Bike, Funky Kong on Spear, Toadette on Magic Cruiser, Baby Mario on Quacker, and a preference-based option via Funky Kong on the Flame Flyer for Rainbow Road. Mastering all of these combinations will take months, if not years of practice. How much harder can this get? Mario Kart Wii has 32 tracks. This isn't including flaps, so double that number and you get 64 no shortcut categories. There are only 10 more standards for shortcut categories. That makes a grand total of 74 categories for this challenge. Being very good at every aspect of the game is a necessity. Enough emphasizing how hard this will be. Let's get on to the player history. Throughout the years, there have been a couple of champions who've taken the game by storm. Alvin, Enmead, Sean, Thomas, other Thomas. None of these players never really got close to a perfect standard. The first real dominant champion in the game was Fox in 2015, with over 1,000 days as champion. He was certainly the best of his time, which leaves the question, how close did he get to perfection? Well, for how great Fox was, he didn't really get that close for the standards. He is missing 36 total categories, but nothing can undermine what he accomplished in his prime. The next closest was Justin. He broke Fox's reign in 2019 in a dominant fashion. He got lower than Fox on every single statistic. How close did he get to perfection? He ended up getting a bit closer than Fox, with only 20 categories left from perfection. Justin is well-rounded in many categories, being not only dominant at no glitch, but also glitch. He was the first to accomplish strong dominance in every aspect of the game. Who was after Justin? Well, the next person after Justin was, it was the person making this video. Yeah, me. Well, this is awkward. Anyways, yeah, I became champion in 2021. Jumping ahead to 2024, there were 11 categories left on my timesheet, so the idea had begun to hatch. Could perfection really happen? I guess we'll have to find out. This grind started on February 9th, 2024, where I declared to my Twitch that we're going for the God sheet. 11 categories were left on my timesheet from perfection. Here's all the categories I were left to accomplish. Yeah, some of these are pretty brutal. Both of these have never even had a perfect standard. This was going to be insanely tough. But it's time to start the journey. For those of you new to this game, you may not know what flap means. Flap means fast lap. You're essentially trying to complete a singular lap as fast as possible. You need to use all 3 of your mushrooms that are in your item slot for this. You also release a mini turbo at the line for even more time save into the lap. You'll see this on the majority of flaps in the video. Anyways, Ghost Valley 2 was a good way to start this grind. The only 2 downsides are waiting 45 to 50 seconds per attempt, and the only shortcut, which can be very tricky. This is the time needed for God standard, and this is my PB. Let's see how he did. I don't know. I choked the ending so hard. Everything else was so good. Ooh! That's PB. Not quite what we want, though. It's been about 2 hours of attempts. Getting this close already is a good sign. It's time to shut the door on Ghost Valley 2. Just get a sports beanie. Feels comfy. That's just horrible. God, I got a really good second to last turn. Oh, hello. Yep, just barely got it. This took a little over 2 hours to accomplish. Not bad. Time to move on. Peach Beach Flap has a bit of a problem. You need to wait about 37 seconds for the flap to start, and a really tough grass cut, which is luck-based. Oh, if you screw up the first time before the first mushroom, you have another chance about 2 minutes later. Your patience will absolutely be tested here. This is also the first category showing Funky Kong on the spear, which has reduced handling versus the Flame Runner, but a higher top speed. Hopefully this won't go too bad. I don't think so. There's too many drops. Okay, well, I mean, that's progress. I don't think so. Nope. Wow. Okay. Really? There's a new problem that was happening. The cataquacks were getting in the way. How could you fix this? Luckily, one of my viewers, Murrah, hopped onto a practice mod and found a better cycle. Thank you, Murrah. However, you have to wait a little longer for it, roughly 1 minute and 17 seconds. But it's worth it for better cycles, because it was totally natural. Dude, what the f***? What? If I chain, I get it. No way. This is getting really close. Less than a frame. Just need that one solid run to get it done. Come on, dude, please! Yes! Oh, finally, dude! Crushed it. I nearly spent 9 hours playing the category. This was a relief to move on. You should start noticing a pattern here. This is another fast lap category. The goal is to take out as many flaps as possible before moving on to 3-lap categories to avoid waiting. Anyways, this is Grumble Volcano Flap, a very, very finicky category. You have a precise lap transition, mostly because you're tricking off of a ramp into the lap. On top of that, every single mushroom spot is either very precise or luck-based. This could be very tricky. Actually, it's getting better. Uh-oh, got a color change. The second shroom is definitely the hardest spot of the track. It doesn't look like much, but that was one of my best attempts in the 5 hours of playing up to that point. Most attempts would just die to either the first shroom or driving errors. I got so bored I decided to put videos in the bottom left corner so I didn't go insane, so we'll just blank out that part. Hopefully this was coming to an end soon. It's not a surprise to take this long on another category. Like, I don't know. It's like if I was good, I would nail it on this attempt and get done with it. Because this has a chance. We're to the ending for the 50th time, and are we gonna get it?
The suspect is placed in handcuffs while other cops search his residence in an effort to locate his dead wife.
You don't have anything on you, bud? You cut it down. Okay, I'm gonna walk
Yes.
over to the curb with you, okay?
I guess we're good. Absolutely obliterated it. Got it by over 50 milliseconds. This took 9 hours to accomplish, but at least we got a new flap world record off of it. It's time to move on. Desert Hills Flap is a very good category. However, there's one section that will make or break your lap, which is the double sand shortcut. The best possible result for the shortcut is called a wheelie cut, which means you keep your wheelie speed exiting the hill, saving a considerable amount of time. Here's Breakson's former world record doing it versus what a normal cut looks like. This is about a 0.150 difference. The catch is, it's entirely out of your control. If you get any other result other than a wheelie cut, it's nearly impossible to accomplish the time needed. Let's see how this goes. I don't know. This is gonna be hard. Like, this flap is definitely gonna be really tricky. The way the flaps have been going of late, I would not be surprised if this took multiple hours again. Wait. Wow. Huh. Okay, it might be doable without wheelie cut. Hang on a minute. Could this really be doable without a wheelie cut? It would require a nearly perfect run. Let's keep going. Wow! I did it without the wheelie cut. Are you serious? Wow, it happened without the wheelie cut. I am extremely lucky to get out of this category in a grand total of 3 hours. That was fun. What's next? Sherbet Land Flap has never had a God standard before. It is one of 2 categories up to this point to never have one. This is also the only category in this video that uses Baby Daisy on the Magic Cruiser. What makes it so hard? Well, there are 2 precise shrooms at the beginning, 3 chain wheelies, a tough shroom on the final turn, and nearly perfect driving. All of these are required to get the God standard. This is the first time chain wheelies have been mentioned, so I'll give a brief explanation. When you start a wheelie, you only have a certain amount of time until that wheelie drops. When that wheelie drops, you have a 1 frame timing to restart that wheelie, or chain the wheelie. Mario Kart Wii runs at 60 frames per second, so you get 1 out of 60 frames to get the chain wheelie, which is about 16 milliseconds. Anything less, and you lose too much time. This is the biggest challenge yet. so bad. Horrible. I don't know, my beginning sucked. Nice bounce. Oh. It was still a... Just f you! F you! After about 10 hours, all I've hit are .7s. Still over 50 milliseconds to cut on nearly all of these attempts. Oh, did I mention that you have to wait 45 seconds to start the flap every single time? And to fail the first shroom half the time? Patience was running unbearably low. It's hell on earth. Yes, dude! Oh my god, yes! It's over. Threaded the freaking needle. That's the first God standard and, of course, a new flap world record. This is the first time in the 11 hours of playing this category getting under a 39.7. Luckily, there was no more time to be spent on this category. Hopefully the next category goes better. Bowser's Castle flap is the second to last flap needed to get in this grind. But this is the last flap before starting on the 3-lap categories. Saving Yoshi Falls for last was a tactical decision for its luck-based gameplay. Alright, let's talk about Bowser's Castle. Right when you start the lap, there's a huge ramp that will decide your run instantly. Sometimes your run is either instantly good or instantly dead. It has the biggest opportunity for time save and time loss. Right after the first shroom is the DK ramp. The normal way of doing this is without a shroom boost, but in a flap, the shroom boost can make your line harder to do this trick. Besides that, the track is very controllable. Let's do this. Every flap has to be torture. No, it's not fast enough. Just losing so much time. That was a 9-4 somehow. Wow. Nice. Damn, it's horrible. Yeah, it just sucks. Just try for Siryu. Trash. That's PB. Still a long way to go. Still over 0.1 off. Attempts are rare to get started. They keep instantly dying one by one. Oh yeah, this category you have to wait a minute every single attempt. How convenient. Gotta keep gambling. It's still on my YouTube channel. Ooh, come on. Oh my, please, dude, please. This has gotta be it. Dude, come on. Ah, dude, no. Don't hit the fire. Okay. I don't know. That felt weird. It was still a mid-7! Oh my god, dude. I couldn't believe that was it. We'll take that. Another new flap world record. The first ramp and the Zeke were so good, it gave so much leeway even with the mistakes. The flaps are done for now. Let's get on to the 3-lap categories. Peach Beach 3-lap is a very unique track. Similar to the flap, the walking tennis balls will make your lines a bit more precise. The faster you are on this track, the easier the cycles will be, like this cataquack on lap 2. Most of the turns you only get 2 results on. You either stick to the turn or you get air on the turn. And every single time it's the opposite of what you want. Let's say you want air on the second to last turn and a stick on the last turn. Anything else could result in a bad line and time loss, or just the run dies entirely. Be prepared for anything. Ooh, that might be a curb. Nice. Tops. What a lap 3. Nope. Oh, it's still really close. Wow, dude. Oh my god. It was still close. Bruh. I don't think so. Yeah. Yep. There were a few PBs, but the close calls are tough to swallow. This track can be brutal sometimes. Dude, that stick sucked so bad. At this point in the grind, I felt completely drained. So many opportunities going to waste, many that cannot be controlled. How do you overcome this? It's just the same old fails again and again. Just have to keep pushing. So bad. The ending was insanely clutch. This hop on the last turn is frame perfect to jump over the grass, and then the full chain wheelie at the end to top it. This category took a whopping 41 hours to complete. Relief at last. It's time to move on to a fun track. Rainbow Road 3-lap has the most wiggle room of any category thus far. It just takes one run without any massive mistakes and it should be done easily. This is the only track that uses Funky Kong on the Flame Flyer, which is the only kart category in the game. There's a strategy used in the world record run which is called the path switch. This isn't necessary to accomplish the time needed, so you just go on the right path. This is the last category that gives the most leeway, so let's have some fun with it. Why? I'm fine, I think, right? Yeah, I'm fine. Way fine. It's not very good. Oh no. Don't tell me it ain't so. Can I still do it? I'm convinced I could still do it. Bruh! What? Oh, that's so... yeah. Why? I went over the boost panel. Bro, that's so f***ed. It would have been it too. Rough fail, but this just seems bound to happen easily. Oh, what am I doing? By a ton! Killed that shit, dude. Yeah, that was done pretty easily. Got it by about 0.5. This took a cool 3 hours to complete. It was fun while it lasted. Now it's time for the toughest categories yet. The big three are now underway, starting with Bowser's Castle 3 lap. The God standard was over 0.3 off my current PB, which is the biggest gap of all the categories thus far. The God standard was going to take a ton of things to go right. Let's refresh on the biggest time saves of the track. The first ramp, the Zeke, and there's this extra strat that wasn't mentioned on the flap, which is called the Suryu. Hitting the back of this boost ramp can save lots of time in a long run like Bowser's Castle. No more explaining, just doing. Oh, by a lot. Huh. Man, it's a PB. This is a decent PB. Still over 0.2 to go to accomplish the God standard. This has potential to take a very long time. Oh. Oh, it was still it! It was still it! Oh! You cannot make this up. This was my best pace, first 220, and jumped all the way to the God standard by 2 milliseconds. I thought the entire time after these mistakes that it was over. Well, it was indeed over, just in the right way. There was definitely some momentum heading into Luigi Circuit 3 lap, but momentum cannot change the sheer luck this track can throw at you. Luigi Circuit has a very luck-based shortcut. The shortcut looks really simple. What makes it so hard? If you look closely at this very good shortcut, there is a little bounce from the curb here. This helps you shroom into the shortcut further and being able to exit at full speed. Any other result ends the run. You'd need this nearly every lap to accomplish this brutal God standard. There are also a couple of chains. This is the biggest challenge yet. Oh, it's gonna be a PB though. Damn, dude. I'll take that. I'm gonna take that. Ooh, PB. Oh my god. For the first session, 2 PBs are great. A low 2 and jumping to a mid to low 1. This was looking promising. Alright, dude, I can't. I gotta take a break. I'm gonna get brain damage at this point. Oh, we're switching tracks? What's the other track left? You have to be having such a horrible session to be playing this. This is the worst category of the entire grind. None of the turns are in your control, except the last turn. You're basically just rolling dice for the entire track. I think I would rather consider watching paint dry than play this category. Here's what an average attempt looks like. Oh man, this might be a good attempt, and it's dead. Maybe this one could be good, and it's dead again. Hey, I didn't get the stick. I think this run's gonna be pretty good, and it's dead again. You made it past the stick? Congratulations. Enjoy bounces. You get the point. Let's get this over with, I guess. Yo, is that a PB? Nope. It's another PB. Let's go. Surprisingly, I got a few PBs in a short amount of time. That was because the bridge stick was working. Still a decent chunk to go with a little more than 70 milliseconds. All right. Ooh. Dang it. Dropped at the very end. If this was a full chain, this may have been below 350. Yeah! Right on the money. Flaps can be so exciting for this reason. Sometimes it can just show the perfect digit when you cross the line. This category took a glorious 4 hours, the best results so far in this grind. This had the potential to take multiple days. This is the moment I've been waiting for, dude. Waiting for one category. Damn it. I f***ing suck, dude. God. Oh my god, dude. At this point, I would assume there were about 50 paces that have had a chance to do it, but none of them under that elusive .100. The pressure was really starting to settle in. Gotta get creative here. Ah. Just gonna play it out for fun. Holy sh**. Oh my god. I almost pulled it out. Lap 3. Well, this was the only way I would be happy with an improvement without getting the God sheet. This was my first 0.8 lap 3, which nearly would have been one of the best comeback runs ever. It has to happen. It has to. Yeah, I'm gonna 4'5". That's rough. Oh boy. I get creative. Yes! Oh! Let's go! Let's go! It's over, dude! It's over! Oh my god! It's over! It's finally... And it's over. Perfection after 15 years. Theoretically, in a racing game like this one, nothing is really ever truly perfect, but this is. This cannot be improved unless the standard gets physically changed by the community, so while I still have the chance to enjoy this, I wanted to make this video. This is the first time I've tried a long, informative video of this style, so I hope it was enjoyable to some extent. If you're still here, thanks for sticking around. This year has been nothing short of crazy. I hope there's more exciting things like this in the future. See ya another day.